So yeah, I've done a couple tests with the Jordan F1 team, one being at Belgium in the wet, which was my first ever time actually driving a Formula 1 car in an official practice session. I still knew that there was a lot of work I needed to do though to get better, as I made a few mistakes that day and definitely have to learn from them, which I have, I personally think. My debut race in the 2002 San Marino F1 Grand Prix in the Minardi team, reserving for Alex Young. For my first race, it went really well actually. I had really good race pace. My qualifying pace has to be improved on a little bit, as I only qualified 22nd, but yeah, really getting involved and really learned a lot. Sadly though, the race ended in the worst way possible really, is I had massive contact with my teammate Mark Webber and completely destroyed both our races, so yeah, massive mistake, but learned from it. So I can confirm I will be driving as a full-time driver for the newly founded Super Aguri F1 team for the 2006 season. So yeah, I'm really excited to get into this. I've done a couple tests with the team in their new car, and I have made a few mistakes, but I have managed to complete various tests that they requested of me and managed to do some pretty consistent and nice lap times and prepared nicely for the new season to come. So my first qualifying session went actually really well, managing to out-qualify my teammate and put in some consistent really quick lap times for the team and show my worth within the team. So here we go, 5 red lights and it's lights out, and away we go for the first race of the 2006 season. And it was a bit of a slow start, not gonna lie. We get re-overtaken by Rosberg and also Ralf Schumacher on the outside of us into turn 1, which is not ideal, but yeah, we just had to keep pushing on and make sure that we don't make any more mistakes and ship any more positions. But a couple corners later, it doesn't really matter, as I get back around Ralf Schumacher around the outside of turn 4 there, which is actually insane to say the least. So yeah, we're really pushing on at this point and trying to get a good result and really held people up, as you can see here behind us. And yeah, we really pushed to the absolute limit, and this really showed my worth within the team and how much I can fight even in a back marker car. Sadly, Malaysia ended in the worst way possible for the team and really showed that I am still a rookie and making loads of mistakes, as I try and move on my teammate, think I made the move stick, but sadly just missed the move and my teammate fights back and keeps it. And I thought team orders would come and play here, as my teammate brakes super early into the hairpin section or the final corner, and I completely missed my braking, smashed into the rear end of him, and that ends up with us both retiring, sadly. So Australia was a new round, a fresh start. I really learned from what I did to the team in Malaysia and really wanted to improve on it and make it up to the team. So I had a really good start here, sent it down the inside of my teammate and nearly on the Midlands, who makes a massive contact with the Red Bull up ahead, and I managed to make it through cleanly on my teammate through turn 1. And I really didn't want to stop there, so I really pushed hard on the first lap to try and get the Toro Rosso and the Midlands car ahead of me as quickly as possible and make up more positions. So I really attacked him, tried down the inside here out of the corner here and down the inside of the Toro Rosso, and managed to make the move stick on a double overtake somehow by some miracle, and really challenging. This was really the change up for me, and to really try and fight through the grid and really try and show my worth again and not destroy the car and cost the team money. And then coming around the final corner, I really felt like I achieved something great with the team today, fighting up through the grid 7 positions in a car that's meant to be a back marker, but taking P15. I'm very happy with that result. San Marino sadly ended in a massive disaster as the brake line just completely exploded, caused me to crash straight into the barrier, and sadly damaging the car even more than what it already was when the brake exploded. So the European Grand Prix at the Nürburgring track was a massive game changer for us, as we actually managed to get into Q2, and not just Q2 but Q3 in qualifying, and make our way up nicely into 5th place. And in the race we managed to really fight hard and lost a couple of positions sadly, but really gave it all we could to try and keep in the points, and managed to come home in a solid P6 position and gain 3 points in the championship and for the constructors, so very good result for us and the team. So in Spain I got into a bit of a silly incident in qualifying, so I was on a hot lap and tried to overtake the Tour, so he completely destroyed me at my hot lap. The race was pretty average. I managed to battle a little bit up from last on the grid, overtaking my teammate cleanly and definitely showing that I've learned from Malaysia incident. Until the final lap of the race, where I was running in 90th position, I completely make a massive drive error, go off wide, spin in the gravel and trap myself in the gravel sadly. So the team brought a new package update to Monaco and it really changed everything. We really managed to fight further in qualifying and really showed more pace than the previous few races in qualifying sessions of 2006 so far, so this hopefully will be a massive game changer. So obviously this was the first ever time we had ever raced at Monaco, and it was very difficult to say the least, you know, learning the tight streets of Monaco and really having to push your limits. But yeah, eventually I got quite used to the track and really managed to push as much as possible and get as much of the performance out of the car as possible, and managed to come across the line and take an excellent P10 on the grid, and yeah, onto the race tomorrow though. In the race I managed to get off to an excellent start and jump off really nicely as the lights went out, managing to try and challenge Barrichello around the outside of turn 1, and managed to make the move stick on him up to P9, and also overtake Button in the Honda up to P8 then, which is a very good start. And yeah, we really managed to just get into the rhythm of the race and hold position very nicely and just push on and make time. The cars ahead ran away a little bit, but other than that we were doing pretty well in defending. But sadly that soon changed when about mid-race our engine just blew, and obviously it was through to back, and I tried to get out of the way when suddenly... So yeah, sadly that was our race over, and it sadly wasn't any points, which is a massive shame when we really felt in good contention for it. So this one was my first home GP, and I really wanted to come into this and impress the fans and really try and put in a good performance for the team, which I managed to do very nicely, as I managed to put this lap into Q2. And yeah, also managed to somehow get into Q3 as well, which was absolutely incredible to say the least. But sadly that quickly changed, as in Q3 I went massively out wide on my final hot lap and yeah, ruined my lap and hit the barrier sadly. Sadly the race went a bit downhill though, as we get away here in P10 on the grid, and it was an alright start. It wasn't great. The pack up ahead sort of pushed away from us a bit, which isn't ideal, but I still managed to hold position in P10, which is just outside the points at the moment. So yeah, we carried on battling and trying to fight our way up, but sadly after losing a couple positions, which wasn't ideal, we still had to try and fight back and try and make up the time we lost. And I was thinking about going for a move here on Ralph, but decided to back out. But yeah, on the final lap now, it was pretty decent, not gonna lie, it was alright. We lost 2 positions in total throughout the whole race, which isn't too bad. P12 on a Super Algarve is a very good result for us, I think, and as high as we could possibly get today without any chaos happening, which sadly it didn't today. But yeah, coming around the final few corners then at Silverstone in my first home Grand Prix, and to take P12 I would say is a very good achievement, so crossing the line now, and yeah, I'm happy with that result. So next was Canada, and this was another amazing race. We got a very good start, actually jumping quite a few cars from last on the grid, which is incredible. And yeah, I really had to try and fight my way up after a terrible qualifying position, which wasn't ideal. But yeah, we really got into the mix here as we hit the side of the Toro Rosso there a bit and tried on the inside of both the Williams and the Red Bull there. Sadly the Red Bull just gets ahead of us, so, and we managed to make the move stick on Rosberg there in the Williams, which is very good. And then suddenly out of nowhere we get a massive engine failure up ahead with Villeneuve, and we manage to move up to P16. But sadly on the final lap of the race our engine dies and we get jumped by the Toro Rosso, so sadly finishing P17 in that one, but a good result still. qualifying wasn't great in USA, sadly only managing P21. But in the race, we managed to have a pretty interesting race and quite a chaotic one to say the least. So we got a pretty decent start, jumping a couple people in the straight by getting a bit of slipstream here, which was very useful for me. And yeah, I managed to just brake a lot later than a lot of the AI into turn 1, including my teammate who actually out-qualified me, which was pretty insane to say the least, as usually it's me beating him. But yeah, I managed to get around a couple people, including my teammate, and I've really got to experience the full speed of these cars with slipstream around the final sector of Indianapolis, as you come around this banking section and then you have the massive straight, which was absolutely insane to say the least, and amazing to feel the high g-force and speed down the straight. And then suddenly this happened into turn 1, the Red Bull goes into the side of the BMW Sauber, and I managed to just take 2 positions up to P15 there very nicely and respectively. But yeah, that didn't last long, as coming to the end of the race I actually got overtaken by the Williams down the inside and nearly the BMW Sauber there, which I just managed to fend off him, just tapping him a bit there, which was luckily we didn't ruin any of our races. But yeah, managing just to defend P16 at least. So heading into qualifying at France, I felt quite confident as I did quite a few test laps in this car in the wet for a test session back in pre-season testing. But sadly it didn't look good, as I actually qualified dead last and just behind my teammate. And the race wasn't any better, as I try and move on the Toro, so think I've made the move on him, and then suddenly get spun around by him, and yep, that's my race over, stuck in the gravel trap. So in qualifying in Germany, I felt pretty decent actually, not gonna lie. I felt like I really could take it at high speed for the high speed corners, and the low speed corners felt very nice on the traction out of corners as well. So yeah, I was feeling pretty decent about this one. I ran out a bit wide there, but other than that I was feeling pretty confident to try and qualify high up again and maybe show the team that I do still have it and not lose performance like I have been doing recently, which was not helping the team whatsoever in the championship. So the German Grand Prix was a bit of a slow start to say the least. I got away pretty slowly and my teammate even got past me, sending it down the inside of a very risky move, not gonna lie, but he managed to make it work, and also nearly getting past the Toro there for him, but just backing off by the last second. But he does actually absolutely send it down the inside here. I was thinking about sending it on him, but then I thought, you know what, I remember what happened in Malaysia, I'm not going to make that the same mistake again. But I managed to go around the outside of the Toro very nicely though, and now running down the straight towards the hairpin section. And yeah, I was just trying to slipstream and getting slipstream with him and trying to attack him now and try and get the place back to move up to a P20. And I brake super late, not going to lie, and go around the outside of quite a few cars there, which is absolutely incredible because it looks like one of them just stopped. But yeah, in the end I managed to come around the final corner and take P20, so that's not bad from P22 on the grid. Not the greatest race, but it's alright. So Hungary was going really well for the team, with my teammate running in P12 and me running in P13, so we were really challenging the grid here very nicely. And then we got to the situation where we were both battling again and I was the faster car. And once again, miscommunication here, as I feel like my teammate was meant to let me through and I outbraked myself. He broke way too early and I completely destroyed him, and that was both our races over and out once again. And just showing a back view once again, he slowed down way too much and yeah, just completely smashed into him sadly. And after the race, the team were pretty disappointed with me and how I haven't been performing as well as I had been at the beginning of the season, and getting into a lot of problems and damaging the car a lot. So the team were really considering different options at this point of driver lineups for next year, which was a massive shock to me. So on to Turkey, and it was lights out and away we go here, and it was a fairly decent start. I did lose a position to the Midlands car, who sends it down the inside of me, which I did not see coming, and would have tried to defend if I knew he was going to try it, but very risky and very bold, but he made it work, so fair enough. And at this point I was really worried because I didn't want to get fired by the team too early on in the season and lose my drive before the end of the season, and well, at all really, to be honest. I wanted to try and stay for 2007, so I was really fighting and really taking major risks here, as you can see, trying to fight my way through the grid. And try and show that I am worth keeping even when I do damage a car sometimes by getting involved in the action. And through the iconic turn 8 where it feels so slow speed in these cars and having to really try and take it very carefully and running wide a bit there, just showing how careful you have to be. But nevertheless, I was trying my best to hold position and keep P13, which is no points but fairly decent for the Super Agari team nevertheless. And we managed to come home in P13, so pretty decent result for Turkey. So next was Italy, and I really wanted to do well in both qualifying and the race for this one, as I really like high speed tracks and Italy is one of my most favourite tracks, and I really pushed the absolute limit in Q1 to really try and get into Q2 again, and maybe even Q3, who knows. Our engine power isn't the greatest, but I hope that maybe we can try and fight our way into Q2 and maybe possibly even Q3 if I can, but sadly it wasn't to be, and my fastest lap was only enough to put me P20 on the grid, so a massive shame about that, but I guess the race is where it's made, so let's just hope we can do better there. So in the race, we got away here in Italy, and it was an okay start, didn't lose any positions, didn't gain any positions. I didn't want to risk turn 1 and turn 2 too much, as I know what Italy's turn 1 and turn 2 is like. It's very narrow, very tight, and it's a recipe for disaster, so I backed off a bit and just tried to take my time making the moves and stuff like that. Got a very good exit out of here, managed to get in the slipstream of the Midlands car ahead of me, overtaking the Toro Rosso too, so a very good start on that out of turn 2. And trying to slipstream very nicely, but couldn't quite make a move on him into the next corner. But a few corners later, I did manage to actually overtake him and make my way up nicely into P18, which was very good. And watching these guys have a bit of a bow, and then suddenly I get the flags that there's a hazard up ahead, and it is someone breaking down with engine failure. So this race had a bit of chaos in it and a bit of a disaster for everyone. So I managed to really do nicely and make my way nicely up the grid and get P15, so I'll take that any day. So China was a bit of a weird one to say the least, because our car didn't feel the fastest, and really we just got very lucky to be put in the position of P8 for a single point, as everyone just ran into chaos with breaking down or having collisions with other people. So yeah, it was really good job that we stayed out of trouble and managed to just pick up the pieces really and just come home in a solid P8 position to claim one more point. So yeah, I'll take that result any day. Sadly, Japan was another unfortunate, very unlucky race for me and the team, as I get a very good start. I managed to jump the Midlands car straight away and diving down the inside of my teammate here, and actually make a massive dive just avoiding the Midlands car and making a move on the torso, just clang wheels a tiny bit. But yeah, I managed to make some very nice moves and now attempt on the other Midlands car around the outside, but he managed to keep it very nicely. I hit the grass a bit there, which isn't ideal, and I get pushed massively up wide onto the grass by the Midlands car, come back on track, completely smash into the side of him, and that is both our races ruined straight away. So sadly, sad news this morning, I am not going to continue racing for Super Agari next season, and at the moment my main priority is to try and find a new team to drive for, but as of right now I've got no team, and as far as I'm concerned at the moment, this is my final race in F1. Hopefully I might be able to return in the future, but as of right now I'm not too sure what my future is looking like for F1, so I just have to keep my fingers crossed. But for now, we've got one more race at Brazil, so let's get a good result there. So I knew my final weekend in Formula 1 would be really important, because I really need to push to the absolute limit, give it everything and get the best result in qualifying and in the race as possible to really show my worth in Formula 1 for possibly future teams. And yeah, I definitely think this qualifying session I really managed to maximise the performance out of the car and really push up the grid as much as possible, and managed to get out of Q1 into Q2 surprisingly, and not only finish there but managed to get into Q3 as well and really push the absolute limit out of the Super Agari car to try and maximise my chances of getting a drive next season. A few mistakes, but other than that, really good qualifying session, probably the best one of the year, but sadly in Q3 on my final hot lap, this is what ruined it all. I managed to go pretty decent for a penultimate lap, but sadly it wasn't quite good enough, so I was only P10. But on my final hot lap, the Honda car behind me of Barrichello for some reason sends it down inside of me on out lap and ruins my hot lap, and that spins me off into the grass, and that's my last hot lap done. So here we go then for the final race of the season. It's lights out and away we go for the final time in the Super Algarve, and we get away pretty nicely, not gonna lie. I try around the outside of Barrichello, which doesn't work, and I back off it, and he actually goes around the outside of Ralf Schumacher, which is absolutely insane. But yeah, I tried to slipstream Ralf Schumacher to try and get the position, but he managed to pull away with his absolute insane Toyota. But yeah, I really still pushed on to try and get him, and managed to actually make an amazing double overtake here on both Montoya and Ralf Schumacher, which was absolutely mental. Montoya tries to move back, but I managed to keep it around the outside somehow, and then also managed to go down the inside of Barrichello to make up to P7, which is absolutely insane. I could not believe what I was actually achieving here. I couldn't believe that I was actually fighting in points right now already on the opening few laps. But yeah, I was really pushing to the absolute limit down the straight, really feeling the speed once again, just like I did in Indianapolis. And I didn't quite get as much speed, but still really nice for the final time. And I managed to come home and secure an incredible P8 position and another point to add to my tally, and I will take that anytime.